What is up guys, welcome back to another video. Now I haven't uploaded a video in about 2 weeks and I think my last video was the one where I played the new summer update. And now that summer update is over, and may I say I did not do any of the challenges or quests like that because I was on vacation. But before we get into the actual video, I might as well just tell you where I've been for the last couple of weeks. But there are timestamps on this video, so if you want to skip me talking about my vacation then sure, go ahead. So I went to this island in Greece called Santorini. It is a rather small island with about 20,000 Greeks living there. This isn't the full population as there are many visitors as well, and so the island is filled with tourists. The island is much known for its amazing sunset view, and is honestly just very beautiful to look at. Over there is Fira, which is the capital. I actually met an amazing girl there, but we do not need to get into that. But yeah, I did have an amazing time. And if you just want to take your mind off shit and stuff like that, well yeah, I would definitely recommend coming here. But yeah, I have missed you all and I need to get back into content creation, so yeah, let's get straight into the video. So apart from chapter 1, every last season of a chapter so far is heavily themed around the last reality. For example, chapter 3 season 4 with the herald and chrome, and chapter 2 season 8 with all the cubes, the sideways and the cube queen. And now with the next season literally being season 4, also known as the last season of chapter 4, well, it's most likely that season is going to be themed around the last reality. And most of chapter 4 so far has had connections with the last reality, as last season kind of had stuff to do with the last reality, but not really. But yeah, there was Triarch Nox, who was very important last season but just didn't feel like it. And there was also Serenade as well, who had connections to tranquil waters and chrome. Chrome is a very important liquid to do with the last reality. It has the power to corrupt you, melt you, and literally just take over you entirely. And that is what it did to the 7. But I will get more into the 7 later in the video. The other substance is tranquil waters, which is believed to be like the blue, pinkish, purple, like liquid running all over Serenade's body. But you can also find this liquid in a lot of other places as well. For example, you can see it all over the Cube Queen's body. And another example is at the quarry, also known as Shattered Slabs, as you can see the substance within this POI. And also guys, this season has a bit to do with the last reality as well. For example, with the hunt for the Chalice of Catastrophe. And it was literally confirmed that the last reality suck at naming things. But another detail to do with the last reality this season is the sketch of the apparatus, which obviously this is the unfinished version of it, as there is a telescope aligning to 5 stars. But if you have a look at the star that the stellar projector is pointing to, it can give you some vibes of the cube's cradle. We haven't actually seen the cube's cradle since chapter 2 season 8, and so it would make sense if it would come back again soon, as it literally hasn't been seen in over a year. And so as the visionaries around the jungle biome designed the apparatus, they obviously had intentions of something to do with the cube's cradle. But obviously they had no time to finish the apparatus, as it was just left without a telescope. And you can also see cubic writing on the apparatus as well, which is literally everywhere around the temple. But yeah, right now the apparatus is currently being built by the luminaries and Sloan. And another bit of proof for the last reality to return is that Zig and Choppy's ray gun has been updated. And yeah, it's going to be unvaulted next season, and Zig is actually a member of the last reality, and so is Choppy, I think. Yeah, he is. But yeah, expect Zig and Choppy to be a boss next season. Now, you guys already know this, but basically a couple of days ago, some survey on ArtStation was leaked, and it was by the guy who designs Fortnite skins and shit like that. Well, there was like one sketch of a location, and that was with the Kraken. I know, the Kraken. But yeah, they're just concepts. Some of them have already been released, for example, some appearing on the screen right now, but some of them haven't. One of those characters being a character called the General. Now, this character appears to be a member of the last reality. And honestly, just take a look at his design, he does obviously fit in the last reality. Akko tweeted this: "The General is clearly meant to be the last reality's general of Chimera." You know what Chimera is, you know those little aliens that used to customize? Well yeah, they're kind of part of an army. What is really interesting is that basically if you have a look at his hands, there is chrome, so chrome has been planned from the beginning. This obviously shows that chrome is very important to the Fortnite lore, and to be honest, we kind of already knew that before. Now, the websites for all these concepts have basically, well, they're no longer available to view. They have now been hidden away from us as the guys who created them, Matt Liu, basically he found out that we were just all making videos on it. But the fact that this website was taken down is suspicious. And because it was taken down is because Epic Games don't want us to see any of the skins, meaning that some could be important in future. And I'm looking at you, General. Now, if you look at the art image for the General, basically on the right, you can see 7 symbols. And our speculation is that the General is actually one of these symbols. And how many symbols are there again? Yeah, 7. And I think we're getting somewhere here. You see, the General, he looks a bit familiar, especially when you compare him to the Scientist. You see, there are a few comparisons, the first one being, well, the size. And I'm not trying to be rude here, but they do look the exact same in size. When you look at their helmet, it does look a little bit similar. You also get vibes from looking at the legs and the feet as well. And if you look at the Scientist's bulky arms, well, they look a little bit similar to the General. So yeah, there is definitely something going on here. And as there are 7 symbols next to the art of the General, it may seem like every symbol represents a member of the 7. The AIME fragment told us that they all speak different now, especially the Scientist, and that they are changing. Because we know that the 7 were took by the last reality, so yeah, this is actually a massive coincidence. It was also revealed that Donald Mustard was in a meeting and they would talk about a Last of Us collab and many other interesting things. But then they would also go into the 7 with Donald Mustard saying that the 7 storyline isn't over and they could find a way to come alive again. This could mean 2 things. A, the Scientist isn't actually the General and the 7 are actually in some prison right now. Most likely they are in the Cube's cradle. And B, the Scientist is actually the General and all of the other 7 members have been changed. And when the AIME fragment says, as we speak, they change, well, maybe in that process of time, the Scientist has been slowly changing to turn into the General, preparing himself to be the leader of the Chimera. But what about AIME? What has just happened to her? Well, we know that she has partially built her body and she has used the Rift Gate to go find the Scientist and all the other members. But the Rift Gate failed, and maybe there is no way of her coming back home. Or maybe there could be another way. We know that AIME's body isn't fully finished, as if you look at the loading screen, you can see that she is still attaching parts to her body, which for now is the body of the AIME skin. Now, there is speculation of the AIME skin looking like this, and this does make sense by looking at the phone of how we used to talk to AIME. And if AIME were to get back to the island, then I think she would probably come back by maybe a sideways rift, or maybe we will just never be told of how she comes back. And when she does come back, then maybe she has already finished her body, so she probably has some jetpack shit or something like that, I don't know. Because we know that AIME has to get a skin, and the time that she will release, it would make sense if it's next season. Now, a little theory, and that is that AIME is actually coming back to the island right now. And AIME actually manages to locate the 7 successfully, but they are on their way to the island right now. All of them being in the Cube's cradle. But maybe the other scenario could be that AIME was also took by the last reality as well. But I would think that's most less likely because we do need her skin. And with her skin not looking corrupted or anything, then it would probably make sense as it does look all fresh and new. But I honestly can't confirm anything. Maybe AIME has been taken and held captive, or maybe she is on her way back right now. But even if AIME is taken away, she will still have her code, as remember, she is an AI. And if you remember, on the AIME loading screen, she had this little box that she attached to her head. I think this little box is like her brain. It allows her to move and also has all of her memory and code in it as well. But worst case scenario, AIME doesn't appear next season and she probably appears next chapter. But I wouldn't believe that. I honestly think AIME would have to be a skin next season. As if she was, it would just make so much sense. But another character that I want to talk about is the Origin, because I feel like he's also going to be very important next season as well. Now, like every 7 member, the Origin was taken by the last reality and corrupted by the Chrome. But we do know that the Origin had a very interesting background with the last reality. We know that he used to be the Cube King, but he found out that the cubes were made to devour, so he left the forces of the last reality, leaving his legacy behind. He was then captured and imprisoned by by the Imagined Order. And one day the Seven came in and raided the whole entire place, and then the Seven came across the Origin, and then they just picked him up. But then the Origin became a Seven member, and yeah, this is literally the Origin's backstory in a nutshell. But if you want to check out his story and other members' stories, then I would recommend watching the Seven series. There are 9 episodes, my most recent episode coming out 2.5 weeks ago, and yeah, it is still continuing. But yeah, if you want to go check it out, then the link will be in the description down below. But why did I mention the Origin in the first place? Well, that is a good question. So we've never actually seen the Cube King version of Origin in game. We've only seen him in loading screens. And look at the very left, you can see his Cube King version. And I just feel like the Epic Games put in so much detail to the Cube King variant of the Origin, just for him to never appear in the actual game. Now, if we go back to the concept art for the general and look at the symbols, you can see that most symbols have a crown, especially the one on the bottom on the right. And if we go back to saying that every symbol represents a member of the Seven, well, maybe a one with the crown could represent the Origin. Because maybe the Origin hasn't been taken to be like a leader of the army. For example, the general, which is believed to be the scientist, is the leader of the Chimera army. And maybe the other corrupted Seven members have roles, and only God knows which ones and what roles they have. But for the Origin, I think he was reverted back to the Cube King, not by himself, by probably the Cube Queen or something. And maybe his punishment is to watch what the cubes can do, watch them devour, shit like that. Maybe that's his punishment, just to watch everything go on. In which I wouldn't think that the Origin is corrupted, I just think like, yeah, he's just being held captive by the lost reality. For example, the other members have roles, for example, the scientist being the general. And if we are getting somewhere here, then maybe we could see the Cube King in next season's Battle Pass. And maybe we can also see the Cube Queen make a return next season as well, as she has not been seen in a while, and it's unlikely that she's dead, because I do not think that someone with that much power could just die to a bit of water. And also, if you remember, in Chapter 3 Season 3, an updated model of her was found in the files, in which you can see she is doing a completely different pose to all the others she's done before. So it would be very cool to see her return soon. But what happened to some of the other members of the last reality? Well, first we have Triarchnox. No idea where he went. But with resemblance to other members of the last reality, for example, Bytes, then he might come back soon. And I know he's a really shit character, but we could give him another chance. And remember, guys, we haven't actually seen all the other members of the Triarchy yet, so I don't think his story's over yet. For Serenade, I'm not sure. One of her sets of monoliths are still on the island, and the 2 other sets have just disappeared. And of course, there is no Serenade NPC like there was last season. For Bytes, well, we have no idea where he went. For Zig and Choppy, well, again, we don't know, but it's most likely he will return, as remember, his ray gun will be unvaulted next season. But remember, Zig and Choppy was completely unstable, as he was one of an unregistered ZYRZXX Destructo droid, and it's literally labeled to do not approach. And so maybe there could be some more Destructo droids around the island next season. But another last reality member we need to talk about is the Herald. Her return has been rumored for a long time now, and I think it's a great time for her to return. As if other last reality shit is gonna go on next season, then I think the Herald should be there as well. But where is the Herald right now? Well, last season of where her old tree was, basically that is now the location of Creaky Compound, also known as the HQ of the Luminaries. Well, it's probably not their main HQ, it's just probably like a base. And the main speculation right now is that the Herald is under this location. Now, it would make sense to believe that the Herald could be good next season, as we know that she has got similarities with the Luminaries, especially Mystica. And we do know that the Luminaries are a plant-based tech syndicate. And if you do look at the Herald, the first thing that she reminds you of is kind of a plant. And we always knew that there was something going on between the Luminaries and the Herald, so yeah. And the belief is that she was actually the same species as Mystica. But when the last reality destroyed Mystica's homeworld, then they must have taken the Herald with them, giving the Herald powers of Chrome. And so maybe the Luminaries could excavate the remains of the Herald and where she is right now and probably find a way to bring her back alive again. As remember, guys, when you did go up to her tree last season, you did hear breathing sounds. And you never know, maybe the Herald could be on our side next season, but there is still a chance that she will be with the last reality, as remember, guys, in the survey skins, there is another variant of her. But again, it's really not confirmed whether the Herald will return or not, but at this point, we just kind of hope she will. And also, I forgot to mention another last reality member returning next season, and that is the the Inquisitor. As you see right now, Epic Games are working on something called Arnold, and it includes data for Huntmaster Saber, Inquisitor, and some other stuff as well. And this would make sense, as remember guys, the Inquisitor is also a member of the Last Reality as well. But I need to talk about one more question, and that is, how will everything tie in next season? You see, the answer to that question is the apparatus. To support that answer, you must look at the sketch. Because remember, one of the stars that it's going to align to is going to be the cube's cradle by looking at that little circle in the sketch. Because I'm not really sure what Sloan and the Luminaries think they're doing. Yeah, of course, they're playing around with the apparatus, but do they actually know where it's gonna lead to? And Sloan did say that the apparatus is key to her plans for whatever her plans are. But it's obvious that Sloan doesn't know how to use the apparatus yet. And if she messes up with it, well then it's most likely the Last Reality will come and maybe the Nothing, but I'm not sure about the Nothing for now. And after all the talk about the Shapeless Man, well yeah, I don't know. We might have to wait another chapter to see him. And now for the answer of the question of how everything will tie in, well, I'm pretty sure the answer's gonna just have to be the apparatus. And hopefully Sloan knows what she's doing with the apparatus, otherwise the island's doomed. And even Optimus Prime has gone to the point where he's now warning us about the Last Reality. But I just need to say one more thing about the Last Reality, and that is that they have uncompleted plans. What do I mean by this? Well, we have to go back to last season. You see, Eevee and Thunder try to locate the Saboteur, which we obviously know the Saboteur is Triarch Nox. And we find out that they are embedded with the Unseen. The Unseen involved Styx, Dahlia, Highwire, and Renzo. Now, the Unseen's goal was to cause chaos in Mega City, whilst the Saboteur tried to start a war between the syndicates, which eventually he failed with doing that. Because in the end, the syndicates did unite, and Mega City is still on the island. Now, since then, we haven't seen or heard anything from the Unseen or the Saboteur. That may be because they are just dormant for now, or they are just waiting for a special date to schedule their plans. As it didn't go ahead last season, I doubt it would go ahead this season, but the best date for now is probably going to be next season. But if you remember, Renzo was pretty pissed that the Last Reality also have intentions of destroying Mega City as well, and yeah, I think something's going to go on between the allyship between the Unseen and the Last Reality. But right now, it is obvious that the Last Reality still have intentions of destroying the island, not just Mega City. But yeah, guys, that is actually the end of the video. I didn't really expect the video to be this long, but yeah. And yeah, guys, I know it was a long wait, as my last video, which was the gameplay video, well, yeah, that literally came out 2 weeks ago. But yeah, as I am now back, I'm going to try and upload all my videos on a better schedule. Not daily upload, as that is very hard. Maybe like every 2 to 3 days. But yeah, I do actually have a few videos planned up for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, stay tuned. And remember guys, join the Discord server. Yeah, the link will be down in the description. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video. Goodbye.